Hey everybody, I'm Benjamin, aka The Terrible Australian at supermastery.com, and welcome to my video review of the new action comedy Pixels. So let's get right into it. Now, I don't know what is up with Adam Sandler these days. It's just, I don't know, like in the early days of his, films and all that, he actually, I wouldn't say he made like the greatest comedies, but he made somewhat, at least a couple of them that were just pretty decent and fun films. But it just seems like in the last, I don't know, probably 10 years or so, the quality of his films have gone way, way down, to say the least. And a lot of them are just really bad. And not only just the ones that he stars in, but also the ones that he's, produced for, for other people, like films like Kevin James and Rob Schneider and a few others. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he just doesn't have the passion anymore, or he's just taken the lazy route to when it comes to making films. So it's kind of frustrating in a way, because every now and again you do get to see some of his talent, whether it's in a comedy, like if he's not involved in like the underrated Funny People, for example, or if he's in a film that's sort of where he takes a much more serious turn, like Reign Over Me or Punch Drunk Love, or even though I wasn't the biggest fan of this film, but even Men, Women and Children as well. So I honestly have no idea what's going up with Sandler. So when it comes to his latest film, Pixels, which is actually based on a short film that was made a few years ago, I wasn't sure what to make of it. I mean, the premise sounded really cool about like a bunch of guys who used to play video games in the 80s who have to band together to save the world from aliens who are using 80s video games to destroy the planet. I mean, that's a pretty cool concept for a film, even if it's kind of ridiculous and silly. But I don't know, just having Adam Sandler involved, I just wasn't expecting much, and unfortunately, it wasn't. That's not but I will give the film credit though. It is better than most of the films that he's made in the last few years. Unfortunately, though, it still suffers from the same type of problems that affect a lot of his films of late. And I'll get to those right now. To me, it's sort of a lot of the humor just comes across as kind of being very lazy or just very dumb and kind of borderline offensive in some ways. I think some of the things that he's been accused of for a lot of things over the last few years, whether it's kind of sexism or slightly racism, slightly racist, or even slightly homophobic. I'm not going to say they're full-on blown like those things, but you can kind of get the sense of that type of humor he's going for in a lot of his films. And I will admit, though, a lot of that is toned down for this film, but you do get hints of that every now and again, which is kind of annoying and a bit troublesome. And I don't know, maybe he's the kind of guy who likes to, be very un-PC with his humor. But the thing is, though, when he tries to do that, he does it in family films and, films that are sort of aimed at younger adults. Maybe it work better in something much more edgier, or maybe like something that's rated MA or something like that. But I don't know, it just feels so out of tone here. But at least, even though there's a little bit of that sort of dumb humor in this film, at least it's not on the level of, say, Grown Ups 2 or That's My Boy, which is probably the pinnacle of that type of humor. So there's still a lot of that in there, and also the character, just some of the sort of character development as well with the characters is just stupid and pretty dumb, and yeah, it's a pretty weak script, at least in terms of character development. But I will give the film credit though, and I think to me, when the film is at its strongest is when it gets to the big sort of action set pieces of the film. And Chris Columbus, who at least compared to the other filmmakers that Adam Sandler has worked with on some of his recent comedies, at least Chris Columbus knows how to make a movie, and at least direct it. And some of the set pieces in this film are actually kind of cool in their own way. Even though and it was kind of interesting to sort of see like these real life versions of sort of famous moments from video games kind of reenacted in the real world with Adam Sandler and his crew, and And that was kind of pretty cool as well. And also, you know, there's a lot of sort of, like a lot of Adam Sandler stuff, you know, in terms of homages. There's a lot of sort of video game references and 80s references. There's a lot of that in this film, and even a couple of cameos as well, which I thought was kind of cool. So usually that sort of 80s references and all that in a lot of films can be a little out of place at times, but it actually fits in tone with the type of film that it is. And that I give the film credit for, because it actually feels appropriate for this type of film. And even though the cast do try, a lot of them aren't just really given much to do. And also Josh Gad's character, who is a very weird character. I'm not sure what on earth they were going for with this character. I mean, you'll know what I mean if you ever see the film. It's just a really bizarre role for him to play. And Michelle Monaghan, she does the best of what she can with her role. And Kevin James just is Kevin James as usual. I mean, he's a likable guy, but I don't feel like he's never given sort of the, like, you know, stretch his potential as, you know, a likable comedian. But unfortunately, he's not really sort of given much to do in this film either. But without a doubt, the best performance in the entire film, of course, belongs to Peter Dinklage, who pretty much channels, like, if you've seen the King of Kong documentary, you know, of Billy Mitchell, Peter Dinklage kind of channels him in his performance, and he pretty much steals every scene he's in, and you can tell that he's having a ball playing this character. So he's definitely one of the highlights of the film, particularly with sort of the video game action sequences, which were actually, I will admit, kind of fun. And of course, Qbert, of course, from the old video games, he's in this as well, and he kind of, like Peter Dinklage, he steals the film as well, and you can't help but like him in the film as well. So yeah, overall, there are some good qualities about Pixels, but I think that's mainly to do sort of from, you know, a technicals or a directing standpoint. But unfortunately, it's just still bogged down with all the kind of stupid elements that affect a lot of Adam Sandler's films of the last few years. So it had the potential to be a really good film, but unfortunately, it just doesn't quite work. So yeah, so it's good qualities here, bad qualities just up there. So yeah, if I had to give Pixels a rating, I'd probably give it about 2 stars. It could have been a great film, but unfortunately, it suffers from Adam Sandler's stupid stuff. So yeah, so that's the end of my video review of Pixels. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone. Bye.